Which brings us to the second half, the second thing I wanted to talk about. Ken Starr and his posse have decided to go to the California Supreme Court to make sure that Proposition 8 is upheld. And not only that, but to bring into the whole thing about is it an amendment or revision of the Constitution? Will it affect the thousands of marriages that were deemed legal during the time that marriages were allowed to be performed in San Francisco and other parts of California? It's, people say that it's not a simple case of black and white, but here's where I stand on it. As a gay man who doesn't really feel like I'm that invested in the whole marriage deal because I don't have a family, and me and my partner are not that wrapped up in the idea of going and getting a marriage license or going to a church and having the minister, declare us married and all this other kind of stuff. I feel that Proposition 8 is simply a legislation of people's prejudice, pure and simple. That's all there is to it. You can dress the pig up any way you want to. It's still a pig, and it still stinks like it's been in the hog waller for a while. So you can tell me all stuff about what the Bible says, what your pastor says, what is natural and normal. But to all the fundies out there and all the fringe people and the radicals who are on that complete black and white side where it's like, okay, you gays need to be normal. That's all we're saying. You need to be normal, you need to straighten up, fly right, and do what nature intended. In other words, find a good woman, settle down, and make kids. If you're holding your breath for that to happen with me, you're going to suffocate. You're probably going to die waiting for that because it's just not going to happen. I don't feel compelled to live my life according to what someone else deems as normal, quote unquote. I'm almost 50 years old, and you're not going to change the way I have lived my life so far. It's just not going to happen. On the other hand, the whole concept of marriage, that's not for me. It never has been and it never will be. The whole thing about nesting and multiplying and all that stuff, let's leave that to Octomom, basically. But I feel like this. All we really need in terms of protection of the families of gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people who have existed before this, believe it or not, and will continue to do so no matter what the legislation says. All they want are the same kind of rights, privileges, and legal protections that married people have for their family's sake, so that they can get protection against job discrimination, so they can get health insurance and the kind of tax benefits that will help them maintain their families in a way that they can be comfortable and assured with that, there'll be a future for their kids if they have them, or for their partners. If something should happen like a catastrophic illness or, what have you. But that's really all people want. They're not trying to break down religion or destroy the American family. That is such utter, raging, roaring bullshit. Yeah, I said that. Bullshit. All this flag waving and sign waving and, oh, you're trying to infiltrate and destroy the American family. You know what? Somebody breaks into your house in a home invasion, wants to rape your daughter, put a gun to your wife's head and blow her brains out. That's a threat to the American family. Steve and Mike, 2 blocks down from your house, in their home with the kids that they had to fight to adopt, and all they want to do is raise those kids the same way you raise your kids. Make sure they get a good education, make sure that they have the right kind of health care. That's not a threat to your family. I am just stunned that people have not figured that out yet. And I think a lot of it definitely is due to ignorance. A lot of people not knowing, not really knowing what gay, lesbian, transgendered, and bisexual families look like. I think it would help if people actually took the blinders off and got to really know people. The people that they're just looking at these amendments and papers and constitutions and saying, well, I feel like my rights are being violated because I voted that these faggots should not be married, and that it's a protection of marriage and an upholding of what nature always intended. That's parroting Bill O'Reilly and Pat Robertson and all these blowhards who could really give a shit about what you believe. As long as you believe what they believe and you keep giving your money to them to support them, they don't care. As long as you keep Ann Coulter's books at the top of the New York bestseller list, she doesn't care. She's going to say exactly what's been ingrained into your psyche and that you're parroting, just as long as you get that cash into her coffers. It makes no difference. No difference whatsoever. But that's all it boils down to. You know, nobody wants to recruit your sons or your daughters or come in and take what belongs to you. It basically, they just want to make their lives better the same way you do. And in the face of what's going on with this economy and with the job situation and everything right now, I cannot believe that people still have the time to beat this dead horse as much as they have. You know, don't ask, don't tell, Proposition 8, all this stuff. We should be at a point by now to realize that this stuff really, in the scheme of things, does not matter. And we shouldn't have placed this kind of importance on it. You shouldn't be worried about what the family down the street's doing. Worry about your own family and what's going on. You know, don't take a stand to legislate prejudice just because Jean and Joan and Tom and Alan told you that their pastor said this is the right thing to do. Think for yourself, for God's sakes, if that's even possible for you. But that's just exactly the kind of stuff I feel I need to get off my chest, especially about that subject, which is really a sore one for me. Because people have just not done their homework. You know, just assuming that, well, we already have the kind of laws and regulations on the books that give you all the benefits and rights that you need to have. All you need to do is go see a lawyer. Wrong. It's not that easy. It doesn't work that way. You know, talk to your own lawyer. Talk to somebody who knows about the law and find out from them exactly what the hell's going on. Because, friends, if you're watching Fox News and that's where you're getting your information from, you are just, you're in the dark. You're really, really in the dark. And I know I'm going to get a lot of mail from a lot of people I'd rather not hear from, a lot of comments about this. But that's what YouTube is for. That's what the universe is for. And basically, bring it on. I've shot my mouth off before and gotten a lot of negative and thankfully positive feedback. Thank you so much from the people who could comment or debate like they got some sense. And the rest of you, whatever. It's a free country. That's exactly why I'm so glad I'm able to do this and post this. Because I wanted to speak to like-minded people and let them know that they're not alone in this. But that is my 2 cents worth. Comment positively, negatively, however you want to comment. And until the next 2 cents worth editorial, this is Survivor 2002 signing off. Peace, and I'll talk to y'all later.